Okay, all you Golden Globes fans out there, we are here for our first TV prediction slugfest of the year. I'm Marcus James Dixon. I'm here with Daniel Montgomery and Zach Laws. And first up, we're going to talk about our drama predictions. So drama series, drama actor, drama actress, and then if we think any drama people will win supporting, we will mention them as well. It's weird because supporting combines dramas and comedies and TV movies and limited series. But first off, Daniel, you have big news. You just switched your prediction, and Zach, I think you did too. So let's go to Daniel first. What were you predicting, and what are you predicting now to win Best Drama Series?
Well, I had like sort of the consensus pick The Crown to win Best Drama Series at first, sort of by default, just because it feels like this year is so in flux that it's the only thing that I'm confident that the voters like, but they also don't like to repeat themselves too much at the Globes. So I moved it down to number 2, and I moved, lateral move because Netflix is still my number 1. I moved up Bridgerton. Which has a similar appeal. It's this swanky, high production value, British, like costume drama. It's buzzy. It's number 1 on Netflix, on their charts consistently. Like it really feels, it's Shonda Rhimes who won this for Grey's Anatomy. It feels like it's coming at the right time, and because it premiered at the end of December, so it will have buzz going into the Golden Globe nominations, which are in early February, which helped The Crown win the first time. It won Best Drama Series like less than 2 months after it premiered. So I'm going with Bridgerton right now. It's still a long way to Globes, so I reserve the right to change my mind yet again. But it's bright, it's shiny, it's new, it's buzzy. It feels like a Globes kind of thing.
And Zach, what were you predicting before today, and now what is your official pick?
Well, just like Daniel, I was being really boring and picking The Crown, which won all the way back for its first season in 2016, but hasn't won since. One of the things that we know that the Globes like to do is they like to anoint a new front runner. They did this last year with Succession when it won drama series after a really buzzy first season that then grew in appeal with a couple of Emmy wins and then culminated in this big Emmy victory this past year. This year, I think that they could do the same thing for The Mandalorian, which I think if you looked at the vote totals, probably came very close to winning drama series at the Emmys last year. Because it won, 7 awards in total?
Yeah, it won 7. I think it was tied with Succession for the most Emmys.
So really big haul. Now, what's interesting is that this was a show that the Golden Globes did not appreciate in its first season. In fact, did not nominate it for anything. But
they did nominate Kieran Culkin that first year. There's a weird lone supporting nomination.
Right, for Succession, yes. So The Mandalorian was completely left off. But it has this air of respectability now because of all of its Emmy wins. And I think that the Globes might take this as an opportunity to put themselves forward as, once again, predicting next year's big Emmy favorite, which could very possibly be The Mandalorian. So that's why I'm picking it. Then again, they could always just go for the most respectable choice, which would appear to be The Crown. But they don't like to repeat themselves very often, as we've said.
The Crown, I've always been like somewhat of a fan of The Crown, but this season 4, was by far my favorite. With the Gillian Anderson edition and Emma Corrin and Josh O'Connor. And, they almost, overshadowed the regulars. Helena Bonham Carter and Tobias Menzies were not in it that much. And Olivia Coleman, I'm actually not even predicting her to get nominated. We'll talk about that later. But my pick for the longest time was The Mandalorian. And I think you're right that it could win. I recently moved it down to number 2, though, because I think something else could win. And I realize it's a little bit crazy because last year it got snubbed across the board. It didn't get anything. And that's The Boys. But The Boys grew so much this year in terms of buzz and respect, and their awards campaign shows it. everyone from The Boys is doing interviews this year, virtually, of course. But even though it got snubbed, like, look what Daniel just reminded us about Succession. Like, it was not a big show for the Globes in season 1, and then it came back and won last year. And, you know, thankfully for all the shows we're mentioning, Succession is not eligible this year. So that's why we're not really talking about it. But yeah, I think The Boys. Do you think I'm crazy for going with The Boys?
Well, I mean, not any crazier than we are for going for The Mandalorian or Bridgerton. You know, we're all kind of putting ourselves out on a limb with these picks, you know, because these are all shows that, like you said, I mean, they've either grown in esteem, or in the case of Bridgerton, they are this shiny new object.
Yeah, his shiniest.
I think that, you know, we should probably talk about, you know, this later on when we get into our lead acting predictions. But, you know, depending on which show does the best in terms of getting its performers in, that's really going to be the telltale sign for us.
Mhm.
Like if, for instance, The Mandalorian, which is not a show that's really looked at for its acting necessarily, if somebody like Pedro Pascal were to get in, that would be a show of confidence. Or in the case of The Boys, somebody like Anthony Starr, or in Bridgerton, and I'm gonna try not to butcher his name, Rege-Jean Page, is that right?
I think it's a hard G. I think it's reggae.
Okay.
If he's watching this, he can let us know which one of us is wrong.
Exactly. I put him in my actor predictions as well, just because, and I should say I have all three of those performers in my predictions, because, and either for any of those to win, I think that they do have to do well across the board in terms of nominations.
Right. They at least have to get an acting nomination. Like, if I'm all aboard the Bridgerton train, I have it getting nominated. But if Reggae doesn't get in, and if Phoebe doesn't get in, then I may lower it down. Like, if it's just Bridgerton that gets nominated, then you have to reconsider maybe a winner prediction. Same with The Boys. If Anthony Starr doesn't get in, or the Quaid boy, or Carl Urban, then maybe, you know, it's gonna have a harder chance of winning. Same with Pedro Pascal and Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's one of those Game of Thrones situations, because the Globes never really cared about Game of Thrones, and so, but it was such a big hit, and it was so cool every year that they kept nominating it for Best Drama Series, but they very rarely nominated the actors for it. Like, just Peter Dinklage the first year who won, and then I think maybe Lena Headey once, and then Kit Harington for the last season. I don't even think they nominated Game of Thrones the last season. They nominated him. So, like, yeah, I do think, like, The Mandalorian, especially if Mandalorian is a Best Drama Series frontrunner, it needs Pedro in. I think Bridgerton, depending on how other shows do, I think Bridgerton needs at least one of its leads to get in.
Yeah.
The Boys too definitely needs a lead.
At least one. We haven't talked about HBO yet. They have Perry Mason, they have Lovecraft Country. Those are the highest in our odds. Do you think one will get in? Do you think both, or neither? Right now, I do have Perry Mason getting in. I recently removed Lovecraft Country. I love that show, but it feels very genre-y, and I know sometimes they reward genre things, but Watchmen didn't get anything last year, and Game of Thrones was always, you know, forgotten by them.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, and also we should say, you know, we have things like The Boys and The Mandalorian in our predictions. There is going to be a limit to how much genre stuff they have in.
Mm-hmm.
I too have Perry Mason in over Lovecraft Country, even though I love Lovecraft Country. I think it's a brilliant show, and I think it's incredibly timely. But you know, it does feel very Watchmen-y, which might bode well for its Emmy chances next year, but not necessarily for its Globe chances. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to depend on, like, how, you know, what their taste is for genre stuff
For how
overall.
much they want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we
tricky.
know something.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, but we know that something from HBO is going to get nominated, because if there's one thing we know about the Globes is that they love to check off every major network box. So
Yeah, it's tricky because they both feel like, and you know, they weren't that long ago, but the way the pandemic has dilated time, like Perry Mason and Lovecraft Country feel like they came out a decade ago. And I loved Lovecraft Country. And it's very timely and urgent, but it again, it has a Watchmen feel. They didn't care about Watchmen. I bet the Globes would have cared about Watchmen if it had won the Emmys first, because sometimes the Globes like to be the first to anoint something. Other times they like a good bandwagon. So, but since this will be the first go for Lovecraft Country, I don't know if they're gonna get it. I don't know if it's hard to say because there are only like 90, to 100 members of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. So like what their specific mercurial tastes are this time, this year, it's hard to tell. I would say on paper, Perry Mason probably looks stronger, but it's not particularly even timely in terms of, its story. So like, I don't know yet. I'm more confident about Matthew Reese than I am about the show as a whole.
Yeah. Another show we should mention is Ozark. Right now at Gold Derby, we are predicting 5 nominations: series, actor, actress, supporting actor, and supporting actress. That would be, a lot for this show. It's only ever gotten in for Jason Bateman. None of the other people I just mentioned have ever gotten in. So, I mean, that to me is a give or take. It's either going to get in and have a lot of acting nominations, or it could be snubbed across the board, except for Jason Bateman. I will say this was my favorite Ozark season ever. It was so good and so dramatic, and the way it ended was just, can't look away. But I don't know, the fact that it's never gotten into series, it's rare at the Globes for a 3rd season show to get in. Succession was 2nd year, Fleabag was 2nd year. I don't know, I'm sure it's happened before, but it's not what they like to do. What they like to do is find the newer shows, the Bridgertons, and reward those.
yeah, I mean, like the Breaking Bad comparison is pretty apt, right? Because like that was a show that they never really appreciated or got. I think it was probably like towards the end of its run that it finally got recognized, if at all.
Yeah, the very last season it won series and actor, but only after the Emmys gave it Best Drama Series, and the Golden Globes gave it the Golden Globe for Best Drama Series right after it went off the air, which would then win the Emmy the following year. So that was definitely a bandwagon.
And I think it's also just a question of how many Netflix shows are they really going to nominate for Best Drama Series. Right now, we're talking about The Crown being the front runner, and which is a show that we know they like. Bridgerton possibly getting in. Ratched as well. I mean, they love Ryan Murphy at the Golden Globes, so can't really count that out. Like, are they really going to go with this, the 3rd season of a show that they've never really liked, despite how good it is? When they have these like shiny new Netflix shows to anoint.
And it's funny you mentioned Breaking Bad, because Ozark feels like a very Breaking Bad type of show. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Maybe they just don't like those dark, gritty dramas.
And I think this is one where the bandwagon would have really helped Ozark, because if this show had exploded at the Emmys, which it did in the nominations, it got tons of nominations, but if it had swept and it won Best Drama Series, then I think we'd see the bandwagon effect, where the Golden Globes don't want to feel left out or feel like they've missed the boat on something important, so they vote for it. The fact that Ozark disappointed so significantly in terms of winning Emmys, it only won for Julia Garner. I don't know that there will be an urgency around it this year that it didn't have last year.
Yeah, maybe at SAG. Some other shows we haven't mentioned: Killing Eve, Better Call Saul, Hunters, P-Valley, Big Sky, We Are Who We Are, This Is Us, Homeland. So there's a lot that they can choose from. Who knows? We're probably going to get half of our predictions right. The Globes are so unpredictable.
And don't sleep on P-Valley. That Stars often has like this one show every year that they will kind of rally behind, because the Golden Globes are really the only organization that's really rallied around Star's programming, and P-Valley had great reviews, so it feels like something that could happen.
We should also say one of the other things that the Globes like to do is give legitimacy to a new streaming service. Certainly they did that when they were the first group to nominate the morning show last year, giving Apple TV Plus its credibility. And also they were the first people to really acknowledge Hulu with nominations for Casual, which never got any Emmy love, but it did open the floodgates for something like The Handmaid's Tale to be recognized. And so this year, the new kid on the block is HBO Max. On the drama side for them, they have Raised by Wolves, which is also very genre-y. And I don't know if that's going to register with them as much as something like The Flight Attendant would on the comedy side. But I bring that up to just say, like, they're probably, their love for HBO might also extend to HBO's new streaming service, which is also getting into the original programming game. I think there's a couple of other titles that they have in contention, right? Like Industry is one of them. And I think We Are Who We Are falls under HBO Max as well.
I think We Are Who We Are was HBO, but
it's so confusing
together because anything that's on HBO is on HBO Max. Like you can watch it in the place. Some things are exclusive to HBO Max, but I think We Are Who We Are is HBO original flavor.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Not HBO vanilla.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's something that you should always look out for, because they do like to help not just anoint new frontrunners, but also give a little bit of love to new programmers.
Well, moving on to TV drama actor, we talked about Matthew Reese a little bit earlier, Perry Mason himself. I am predicting him to win, which is why I put the show back into my predictions. I had removed it for a while, but now it's back. Because usually, I mean, there are exceptions, but usually if you win for a show, your show almost always has to be nominated. Usually they pair them up and they both win. So like, you wouldn't be crazy if you think Matthew Reese is going to win actor, that Perry Mason also wins series. Zach, who do you have winning this and why?
I also have Matthew Reese winning because he is, way overdue at the Golden Globes. He didn't win for the final season of The Americans, even though that one drama series, oddly, it was this weird Emmy switch where he won the Emmy and the show lost, but then the show won at the Globes and he lost. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, they do like to pair up a show and its leading man. So, I mean, I don't know if we're necessarily going to see a scenario where The Boys and Anthony Starr win, or Bridgerton and Rege-Jean Page, or Pedro Pascal for The Mandalorian. What could end up happening, which would be really way out there, but not atypical of the Golden Globes, when they have a big movie star nominated on the TV side, they will sometimes go with that person. And that person could be Al Pacino in Hunters, who has won multiple Golden Globes, both on the film and television side, and just continues to get nominated by them, even when the Oscars and the Emmys ignore him. So I would not sleep on the possibility of that happening.
Yeah, I think Al Pacino has been nominated 18 or 19 times. And he's won the Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement. So they love him, and they love him for things that no other groups love him for. Like, they nominated him for Danny Collins, the film. They nominated him for films that really aren't among like his most lauded or his best remembered films. Certainly he got, Serpico, Godfather, Dog Day Afternoon, all of those things he was nominated for, but they love him no matter what. And of course they nominated him last year for The Irishman, even though the star of that film, Robert De Niro, was snubbed basically by awards groups all over the place. So
I loved Hunters.
He could get in here again. I don't think he wins. He doesn't usually win when it's like a show or a movie that's not like really talked about, but he could get nominated either way.
I loved Hunters. I just can't fit him into my predictions. I literally don't know who I would take out to put him in there. Who do you have winning, Daniel?
I have Matthew Reese at the moment, which is weird because I don't currently have Perry Mason in for series. But the interesting thing about this category, I'm looking at these other nominees. It's very ensemble-y, these other people I'm predicting. Josh O'Connor in The Crown, that's an ensemble series. Rege-Jean Page for Bridgerton is an ensemble series. Anthony Starr in The Boys, that's an ensemble series. Al Pacino in Hunters, I don't see there being a lot of enthusiasm before maybe a nomination for him. So Perry Mason plays the title character in, like, he's front and center on this show. And so I could see him potentially being the kind of person who wins even without a series nomination, sort of like a Rami Youssef for Rami, or Rachel Bloom for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Like, these are actors who play like the central piece of their show. And like Zach said, he has an IOU because he didn't win for The Americans, even when The Americans won Best Drama Series a few years ago. So I do have him winning there. I'm not entirely confident, but I'm less confident about anyone else in terms of winning.
I recently put in Rege-Jean Page and removed Jonathan Majors just because of the whole Lovecraft thing. I don't think they're going to go for that. I could be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong. And I also, you know, for a while I had Pedro Pascal winning this category, and now I don't have him even nominated. It's one of those weird roles where his face is only shown, you know, very, very rarely. I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but I can't think of an example of somebody like that who's not shown on screen getting nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah, it'd be a pretty weird one, but I do have him predicted just because currently I'm predicting the Mandalorian to win, so I feel like I kind of have to. But I could see him very easily missing for, you know, somebody like maybe a Jonathan Majors, if they actually do watch Lovecraft Country and like it. He's definitely somebody whose profile is rising, so he would be perfect for a Golden Globe nomination. Josh O'Connor, I just recently took out of my predictions. I have a weird collection of people. I'm just like putting in people who I think are going to be in nominated shows like Anthony Starr, Pedro Pascal, Rege-Jean Page, Matthew Reese, and then Al Pacino. And I took out Josh O'Connor just because I think that the women of The Crown are going to be amply recognized.
Yeah.
And so I could see him and Tobias Menzies just kind of being overlooked as a way for the Globe voters to, you know, spread the love to other shows.
They need more slots. I mean, the Emmys do 6 for leads and I think 7 now. They keep changing. 7 for supporting.
I think 8
for 8. Is it 8 now?
It's a roving number, yeah.
Tomorrow it's 9.
It depends on the number of submissions in the category now. So this year it was 6 for lead and 8 for supporting for both.
And the Globes stick with 5. It's not enough. It's really, especially when you get to supporting, which is that catch-all category. It's very hard. But we should move on to drama actress. I mentioned earlier I'm not predicting Olivia Coleman. I think she'll get in for The Father over on the film side. And what's interesting about her is she's never lost a Globe. She's been nominated thrice and she won each of those 3 times. And so she could win for The Father. So I think she'll go 4 for 4, which is possible. But so I don't think she'll lose here. I don't think they're going to waste the nomination on her when they're going to give her one on film, especially we were just talking about how stacked these categories are. So I have Emma Corrin winning. She plays Princess Diana. She was like the star of the show this year. And I'd be curious to time Emma's performance and time Olivia's performance to see how different they were. I think they were on screen about the same amount of time.
You might be right. I actually do. I also have Emma Corrin predicted to win, even though I still have Olivia Coleman predicted to get nominated. Just because, you know, she is the central figure of The Crown, even if her role in it is slightly she takes, you know, second stage to Emma Corrin and also to Gillian Anderson,
Mhm.
who I have predicted to win in supporting actress. But yeah, Emma Corrin just feels like that kind of newcomer that the Globes
Yes.
love to anoint, and she is this like breakout star of The Crown this season, much in the same way that Claire Foy was for season one when she won. So I could definitely see that happening, even if she is nominated against her co-star.
I'm thinking that this, like, I have to look back at history. I'm trying to think of any other show, given how quickly the Globes usually move on, any other show that has won lead actress for three different women.
Exactly.
It would be kind of wild, but very plausible. I have Emma Corrin in second. I do have Olivia Coleman in to win, which I don't want to call her a placeholder. I don't like, it's not like she doesn't have merit, but same reason I had The Crown and Best Drama Series. It feels like the show we know they like, the performance we know they like. And of Olivia Coleman's two past Globe wins, or three past Gold wins, like two of them were surprises. Her win for The Night Manager was very surprising, because the Emmys weren't super into that, but the Globes loved it, gave it 3 acting awards. Then they gave it to her last year for the Crown, when we thought that they would go all in on the morning show and Jennifer Aniston, because that was the shiny new show. And so the one we were expecting was the one she won the Oscar for, which was the favorite for film. So, but like, the love of her is not because she happens to be attached to things they love. Like, they clearly love her. So I think she'll be nominated, even if she ends up losing to Emma Corrin. But really, I'm having a trouble making a case for a win for anyone else in this category, although it will depend on what the nominations look like. So, but yeah, I think it'll be one of those two.
I have in second place Sarah Paulson. This may be, a fanboy pick, but she was Ratchet. I mean, without her, she was also a producer on the show. And we know they love Ryan Murphy Productions. His shows win here, I think, more than any other award show. I mean, Glee won twice for Best Comedy Series here, and it didn't even win once at the Emmys.
Nip Tuck won Best Drama Series.
Right. And, all of his actors, I think we have a photo gallery of all of his actors that have won awards and actresses. There's a lot. So she could just be the latest. I mean, she did win for OJ a few years ago, so the Globes don't owe her anything, which is interesting. But I don't know. I have her in second. I have Laura Linney in third for Ozark. And again, she's never been nominated for the show, but she's won Globes before for John Adams and The Big C, I think. So they love Laura.
I think Sarah Paulson is definitely getting nominated, and I wouldn't discount her winning, especially if the show were to get nominated. They really do love performers in Ryan Murphy's shows. Like, I mean, you mentioned she won for OJ. I mean, it's just it's an endless list of people who have won for performances in his shows. Let's not forget that Lady Gaga won the Golden Globe for her season of Horror Story before anybody took her seriously as an actress. Like, Ryan Murphy basically laid the groundwork for her to be in serious contention for an Oscar win for A Star Is Born, at least on the acting side. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that Sarah Paulson is in this race. I definitely have her getting nominated, just because even if the show itself isn't in there, I think that she is so well liked by them, and his shows are so well liked that I think it's an easy nomination for her.
Yeah, I think she gets nominated but doesn't win. I feel like they love Ryan Murphy shows, but this feels sort of like this year's Politician, where you have a
which
lot
got
of
nominated
buzz,
for Best Comedy
which
Series,
got nominated but didn't
Yep.
win. But didn't win, and I think it's because that was the shiny new show, but it was the response was very mixed to it, and Ratchet also had fairly mixed reviews. So I think it's the kind of big showy brand new show performance from someone they've awarded before on a Ryan Murphy show. They they like Ryan Murphy. Like I agree, she gets nominated. I'm not sure how much enthusiasm there will be for that show as a whole. I think she'll have a better, like, she's the kind of person who I think the show would need to be nominated for her to win.
Yeah.
We should also just mention while we're talking about Ryan Murphy, it's a possibility he could get like nominated across the board in drama, or at least his projects could get nominations across the board because he's got Ratchet, The Politician came back, Hollywood on the limited side, and then on the film side, The Prom, which seems like an easy nomination,
Yeah.
and
Right.
The Boys in the Band, which is in the drama category. So it's just like the Ryan Murphy show over at the Golden Globes.
He literally picked one thing per genre, and it's like, one of these will stick.
A few people we haven't mentioned: Journey Smollett for Lovecraft, Jodie Comer, Killing Eve, Katrina Balfe, Outlander.
She always gets in, yeah.
Yeah, she does. Sandra Oh for Killing Eve, and there's somebody. Oh, Phoebe, this new girl from Bridgerton. I just put her in. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But she could be the new ingenue that we were just talking about for Emma Corrin. She could be another one.
I think it's Denever, is that right?
I'm not sure where the accent is.
Yeah,
like I look at her name and I see. I usually look these things up, but there are a lot of names we're discussing.
Yeah.
So it's either Denever or Dynevor, or I'm not sure. Denever sounds more British.
Yeah. I have her nominated. I have her in my. In fact, I mean, we should talk about this as a possibility that she would win actress and Bridgerton could win series.
There you go.
That could be your pair up, especially if they go all in for Bridgerton. Like I'm not exactly sure because there's such a big cast. I don't know who their big push for supporting would be. You got someone like Polly Walker, who is just dynamite in anything she does, and and is a very showy performance. So if that gets into like supporting, like we could see, okay, this show is bigger even than we think it is. In which case we could see a win for series and actress.
Good points. We should end just talking about supporting briefly. If you're predicting someone from drama, mention it now or forever hold your peace. I have Gillian Anderson winning for supporting actress, but I think supporting actor could go to Brendan Gleeson for a limited series.
I have Gillian. I think she could be the win for the crown. Like, she's the one I'm most confident in. For movie, for a supporting actor, I do not have a dramatic actor in to win that one.
Ooh,
we'll talk about that in another category.
Yes, you're teasing us.
I too have Gillian Anderson winning.
We're so boring.
I know, but it's like John Lithgow for the first season,
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
It just seems so easy, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a drama actor winning on the supporting side, but I do have one getting nominated. It feels like such a weird Golden Globes thing to do that they're going to completely shut out Ozark, except for the one area where everyone thought it should have been nominated. I have Tom Pelphrey getting nominated for supporting actor.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, go and
he's
make
in Mank too, so.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone go and make your predictions for the Golden Globes. If you've already made them, update them. There have been a lot of changes, people switching categories, supporting the lead and comedy to drama. The nominations are announced February 3rd. So keep coming back. We'll be doing a lot more of these slugfests as the weeks go by. Thanks for watching.